Good morning, family. Hope y'all had a good weekend, but I'm glad that shit's over. Glad we're back to work. Everyone in the Focus Trades group will be live at 8:30 a.m. Eastern this morning for some morning prep, and then we're going to trade the first hour and a half of the session together. So, team, pretty simple, right? The market does one of two things. We move away from the 21 EMA and we move back to it. And this doesn't change, guys. So, kind of put into context how crazy of a year it's been, not only for the market, but just the world. But that structure of the trend never changes. We move away from the 21, we move back to it, we move away from it, we move back to it in a downtrend, and then the same thing here in an uptrend. The thing is, guys, once we get super extended, now my rule of thumb is once we're 3 to 4 ATRs away from the 21, doesn't mean we can't keep playing the market to the upside, but you got to do so in a fashion and with the understanding that sometime soon we could completely dump. And that's what happened last week. But that was no surprise, at least to me, guys, just working on the structure here. We know it's coming sometime soon because it always happens. We always come back to the 21. So for me, I'm scaling down on position sizes. I'm not holding things overnight, looking for more so day trades and then getting the hell out of there, protecting all the gains you can make over here from that inevitable drop. So with that being said, guys, the market does one of two things. We move away from the 21, we move back to it. Well, last week we came back to it. So what's the next move here? Are we going to push off the 21 to the downside? Are we going to push off the 21 to the upside? Time will tell, but we want to have this structure not only this week, but for the next few weeks before we go jumping into trades. Guys, if you're jumping into tech trying to buy the dip on Friday, I think you're forcing things. You got to wait for confirmation here. If the market can bounce off the 21 and we begin to pump on momentum, hey, your tech names are probably going to fly. We take a look here at the futures this morning. You can see the SPY's down about 0.5%. We take a look here at good old QQQ futures, and we're down 2%. So listen, guys, if you have tech positions, if you tried catching that bounce, calling the bottom there on Friday, work with this structure moving forward. When we pull back to the 21, wait for confirmation that buyers are coming in. The good news is, guys, patience will pay, because if we do end up rallying off the 21, like we do time and time again, you have more than enough time to play that upside. But you don't got to be the first guy there. So tech coming down really hard this morning. So here's my deal. Market does one of two things. We move to the 21, we move off of it. Let's assume we're going to push off the 21 to the downside. All I want to do, guys, is come into today's session with nothing but my go-to setups on my watch list, and then I'm going to look to play them based on the big picture of the market. So I pull up my sheet here, and these are the only setups I'm focusing on today. Daily squeezes in Bowman, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, the whole financial gang, and then the small caps in IWM. For each of those squeezes, guys, it's going to be market direction dependent. If the market's rolling over this morning and today, then JP Morgan, Goldman, none of those financial squeezes are probably going to fire to the upside. So we never want to go jumping into a setup blindly. We want to wait for confirmation. But I'm doing nothing but going into this session with a very strict focus on my go-to setups and nothing else, and then just trading them, guys, based on the big picture of the market. So for the sake of conversation, let's assume that we do continue to sell off today. Show you guys one of my setups here this morning. And what I'm looking at here, team, is IWM. So real quick, I'll show you all the squeezes here on my watch list. But I really like this daily squeeze here in the small caps. You can see we're starting to release some energy to the downside. Last week, what I would love to do here, guys, is try to get a short on this thing underneath the 21 EMA. So kind of use the 21 EMA as my stop, so to say. So if we take a look here this morning, if I can jump into some in-the-money puts, say for Friday or next Friday's expiration, and then just kind of hold on to this as long as we're under that 21 there on the daily, if the market does roll over, really good chance, guys, to squeeze fires to the downside. All I'm looking to do is catch a nice move and then get the hell out of there. So I like the IWM squeeze, but if the market bounces here, then shorting that's not going to work. So we take these setups, guys, and then we just trade them based on the big picture. So one thing I'm looking for today is just selling pressure across the board and then volatility. If the volatility index continues to spike, there's a very good chance things get ugly here today. And as you guys can see, technology is already starting the party down a good almost 2% here, 2.5 hours before the open. So a couple more setups, guys. We do have finance squeezing everywhere. You got Goldman Sachs, you got Morgan Stanley, you got JP Morgan, you got Bank of America. So the whole financial gang over here is squeezing. And they're good looking setups, guys, but here's the deal with finance. it can't get itself into a sustained trend here this year. After the dump and the whole market bottoms and, tech rips, semis rip, finance over here just kind of all over the place. And here's what's been happening. Finance will move for a couple of days simply as long as money's rotating out of technology. So big money's locking up gains in tech. They're getting out of the Apples, the Amazons, the Googles, the Facebooks of the world, and they're rotating that capital over into finance. But the move only lasts as long as the rotation lasts. When big money comes knocking and they want their money back out of finance to go back, typically to tech, look what happens. It just gives up the move so quickly, again, and again. So I am a little bit cautious, guys, about trading sectors right now outside of tech and semis, just simply because, especially for finance here, we can't get anything going. However, my opinion on the sector doesn't matter. My favorite setup is here. I'll look to trade it to the upside if the market is strong. If the market is weak here this morning, guys, and it's sure looking like it, if volatility spikes today, then I'll be taking a look there at that AWM, rupee or something, the IWM daily squeeze, and then potentially this Boeing daily squeeze here as well. As goes the market, goes the stocks. So if the next move here, guys, of the indexes is a push off that 21 EMA to the downside, I'm looking to trade my go-to setups accordingly to the downside. So we'll see what today brings, guys, but based on the futures here, things looking a little bit sketch. Probably going to shift my focus more so to the downside, the IWM daily squeeze and with the Boeing squeeze there, rather than a focus on those financial squeezes, thinking about going long. Need the market behind you, otherwise the setup is useless. So given the fact things are looking a little bit red this morning, that's going to be the focus. So I'll keep you guys posted, but those are two major things I'm focusing on this week. What is the next move here for the market? We got the good old pullback to the 21. Are we going to push off the 21 to the downside? Sure looking like it this morning. And as long as volatility stays where it is, or even worse, continues to spike, I think we can see some downside. So I wish you guys all the best of luck. I appreciate y'all for watching. If you haven't already, click the damn subscribe button. And for those of y'all in the group, I will see you guys in about an hour and a half, and we'll get to work here.